Alright, welcome to another solo leveling Arise video, and before we go to the tier list that I'm about to create, let's go over the maintenance notice quickly that we just got today as a recording this video. So on Tuesday night, so after child banners leave, these are the new stuff that we are getting. So we're getting a new weapon for Seo Jiwoo, which is Scotty, and I believe this is the water gun weapon that freezes, so it's gonna be especially interesting. A lot of the new stuff are water based. We're also getting Alicia and her new weapon, and Alicia is already water based around freezing, so freeze might be something that's useful in the new game mode, which is Battlefield of Chaos. That's also going to be added. 2 new costumes. I'm guessing that's one for Seo Jiwoo, or we're gonna get a reset of the battle pass. So I'm guessing that's gonna be where one of them is gonna be from. I'm guessing it's the miner outfit, and then the other one is gonna be a costume for Alicia. So, what I said earlier, we're getting a new content, which is the Battlefield of Chaos, and in that game mode, we are getting gems. We don't know what kind of buffs gems will give us, but that should be buffing our characters pretty well. Because as of right now, a lot of players, unless you 810 everyone, kind of struggle with keeping up with CP. Like, as of right now, I'm almost at 380k. Guessing a lot of people are below that, so it makes it hard for them for the harder difficulty content, because they'll be in the red. Because I'm in the red right now, also on the around chapter 17 and 18 of hard mode. So yeah, new bond system. I'm not sure what that's gonna be. Hunter's Archive, that's good. New events and new package, the basic. Then system improvements and bug fixes. I'm not seeing the workshop of brilliant lights in here, as well as mention of the buffs for the hunter. So I'm guessing that's gonna be in the later patches. But yeah, and these are the one that's leaving. Total purchase bonus. I think this is also getting reset. So as of right now, the character there is Seo Jiwoo and the plum sword. So I'm guessing they're gonna update that, which is good. Especially if you don't mind paying. So at 10 you probably get a hunter, at 30 you get a weapon. So if they put Scotty in there for 30, that'll be a good way for players to get that weapon. Because most players probably already got their pity for the custom draws anyway. Because I don't think Scotty is gonna be in Alicia's banner, or Alicia, however you pronounce her name. I don't think it's gonna be in that banner. That's probably gonna be in the custom draw. So with that, let's go over my tier list that I'd like to make. So, unlike most tier lists that I've seen, there's a couple of game modes that I really want to focus on, because especially with the the videos that I like to create, mainly focusing on those ranking game modes, especially Battlefield of Time. So I want to make this tier list pretty much based around Battlefield of Time, Power of Destruction, and stuff like that. And then takes into account as well just regular content like instance dungeon, hard mode, not hard mode, reverse mode, and stuff like that. Gates, I don't really matter, because most of the time we're just gonna be skipping that anyway, especially if you have the pass. So go start with the tier list. So the first character is Mane Baek, and for me, this might be controversial, but I think he's in C tier, especially in the game modes that I'm about to talk about. In Battlefield of Time, his mechanics of bleed, it's not good enough for higher ranking. The only thing good about Mane Baek for Battlefield of Time is as a support for Seo Jiwoo. And I guess because of that, we can put him in good, because he's gonna be one of the best support for Seo Jiwoo. But I can't put him in OP because he's unusable in Power of Destruction. So let's just go back to the game and let's just what he does quick. Since everything he does is about bleed, as well as pretty much taking his own HP. The world boss is immune to bleed. So that right there is already makes him unusable in that game mode. Plus, he can't survive in that game mode. He just can't do it. So if he's unusable in that game mode, I can't put him anything higher than a B, especially since in Hunter events, especially for Battlefield of Time and Battlefield of Time Challenge, he doesn't do enough damage because his main mechanic is bleed. Unless you're lower level, let's say you have Mane Baek and you're level 30 and you're in the tier 5, you can use him, you can use Kang Tae-shik or any characters with bleed to cheese that stage. Then he'll be useful there. But I can't put that higher because the main objective of Battlefield of Time is how fast can you clear, and he doesn't clear fast. So with that, I just have to put him in B. So his human form, on the other hand, I want to put him in A because he's solid in Battlefield of Time, especially against the Arachnid boss where you can break it in about 2 hits. And then in any other content such as Egress, who's also weak to light, which is what we have right now. We'll have him up show over here. So Egress is weak against light, so he'll break them in 2 hits. And then like last week's event, for example, the enemy's defense is boosted by 20%. He lowers defense. So A is a really good place for him. I don't want to put him S just because a lot of strategy, or like at least the meta strat for the fastest clear time, would not need you to use him as a breaker. You can just brute force it with like Cha and then just DPS your way to the fastest time. But if you're not in that level yet, then Baek Yoonho is really good for you. And with that, the next character is Choi Jong-In. Choi Jong-In is OP. He's in the S tier. I can't put anyone in the SS except for one character, and I'm pretty sure everyone knows who that is. So Choi Jong-In is really strong, especially for enemies who have high defense because of his defense span. And he's just probably the second best DPS in the game right now. Plus, a lot of his attacks can cover long range. As a wave clear, if you don't have Emma, pretty solid as well. And yeah, especially if you have him A1. If you have him A5, you can just camp out and then just do a lot of damage, especially as a sub DPS. So yeah, that is Choi Jong-In. The next one is Emma. Emma I'm putting in front of Choi Jong-In, and it's not because of how much damage she does, and it's because she is the best wave clear in the game. Every stage in Battlefield of Time, you need someone who can wave clear. And she's the best at that, especially in the Hunter stage focused one, such as what we have right now, which is the Spider. She's the best character in the first and second stage for the Spider, just to clear all of that the fastest. I think without her, you're gonna be probably adding 30 seconds to clear all the spiders. With her, she can finish the first 2 stages in about 12 seconds at best. And I just want to go back to Choi Jong-In. I forgot to mention he's one of your best characters in Power of Destruction just because he does a lot of damage. Sure, he doesn't break, but that's okay. He's gonna be one of your DPS, especially since you need 2 teams. So most of the time, he's gonna be the main DPS hunter for your second team. And then back a little bit to Baek Yoonho, because I didn't talk about him Power of Destruction. He breaks, which means he's already solid in there, especially since he's light. And just being light in general is a buff, just because of the supports we have for light. So back to Emma. Emma is also really strong in a Power of Destruction, just because she leaves that burning ground that just increases your point for free, well as she breaks. So one of the best characters in the game, especially for the game modes that involves ranking, which is the main focus for this tier list. The next character, Hwang Dongsoo. Hwang Dongsoo I can probably put in A. His damage is high, but that's about it. He doesn't really bring much, so let's go back to the game and just put what he has. His defense scaling, it's kind of harder for him because he doesn't really have an artifact set mainly set for him. there's a Guardian set, but the Guardian set is not that strong. And you need him at least to be A1 to be actually be useful. But other than that, he doesn't bring much. The only thing he can do is remove shield. But at the moment, there's pretty much only one character or like one boss who does that, and that's the one of the mages. And even then, you can kill the mage without needing to remove the shield. So I want to put him in A, maybe down in B, just because I don't know. We could probably put him in B just because in Power of Destruction he does damage, and then that's just it, just damage. But the damage he does is not big enough to really make an impact. Even in win stages, I tried him in there, and then there's just better options. So the next character, Bora. Bora is S tier for sure, especially for Power of Destruction, where she is one of the best support in that game mode. Her passive damage with her foxes are really strong for that game mode, as well as for Battlefield of Time. She is the second best wave clear in the game, so going back to the game. But for her to be the second best wave clear, you need to be A3 at least, so you can cast that S1 twice. Without that, sadly, she's just okay in Battlefield of Time. You really need to be A3 for her to be solid, especially in the early stages of the Battlefield of Time challenge, where you clear just the little mobs. You can instantly clear that with her faster than Emma, because you don't have to wait for the cooldowns to come back. So I think she's really one of the best characters for the game modes where ranking matters, as well as a support. Just a support for Seo Jiwoo, which I didn't really talk about the other people, because you're not really going to use the other 4 as a support for Seo Jiwoo. Maybe you'll use Choi for the defense down, but not really up there. But for Bora, she inflicts charm, which is a 15% damage increase, and that's solid, especially for the Seo Jiwoo's battles for Battlefield of Time. Byung-Gu. I actually want to put Byung-Gu in SS. The best support in the game for Battlefield of Time, as well as the best support for Power of Destruction. 2 game modes where you're going to be farming pretty much daily just so you can get the materials for it. He's one of the best characters there, especially if you have a dupe. Just one dupe. Increasing your crit rate and crit damage by 8% is amazing, especially if you're Power of Destruction. And in Battlefield of Time, if you don't have an A5 Cha like this, his ult pretty much gives you so much buff that it increases your clear time by so much. And that most fights that is gonna be with Cha as your main DPS, Byung-Gu as your support, and then a wave clear who is Emma or Bora. Those 3 are pretty much your main comp. Like in the current one, the Arachnid, that's the best team right now. It's because that extra 12% crit rate actually adds up. I don't know if you guys have run a lot of the spiders, but you don't crit a lot against the spider. I had 78% crit chance, and I'm not critting. And just imagine if you don't have the extra bonus, it'll just be painful. And then if you have him higher, the power acquisition buff increases just your clear speed, just so if you don't really need to use the destruction set for your DPS, because sometimes it'll be enough. And then if you do have the destruction set, it just does so much damage, especially for the attack based one, because of an outstanding connection. But yeah, I really think he's up there in double S, just because he's the best support in the 2 game modes where time matters. The next character, Tae-Gyu. Tae-Gyu I'd put in A just because he breaks. Oh, I forgot to mention, I keep forgetting. Min is the best, also your best support for Seo Jiwoo fights for Battlefield of Time. 15% damage boost, similar to Bora, as well as healing you if you need that, especially if you're lower level. So he's just up there, pretty much best at everything except for doing his own damage. Can't go wrong with him. I suggest you guys always put him in your custom draw. So back to Tae-Gyu. I think he's A, just because I think he's unusable in Battlefield of Time, because there's not a lot of content that he'll be out damaging like Cha, unless the content, I guess, is a light weak but darkness buff. Then I think he'll be there. He'll be better than Baek, because his ult just does so much damage, and Baek is mostly with bleed, and that's not gonna be enough to combat Imtaegyu. He's not good at wave clear, but that's okay, because you have Bora and Emma as for that. And then for Battlefield of not Battlefield, for Power of Destruction, that's why I put him in A, just because he breaks. And then having a break in there is solid, especially against the Golem when those spawn. But yeah, next character is Lee Jiwoo. No, not Lee Jiwoo. Seo Jiwoo. I'm sorry about that. Seo Jiwoo. I think I want to put her in front of Choi, because one of the best character in Power of Destruction. I want to say she's the third best character in there. The best is Cha, followed by Min, and then her. She does a lot of damage. She protects you, and it's so underrated that she gives the entire team a shield, because that just means you can tank an attack, especially if you're using a channeled ability like the Scythe, if you're using Plum, if you're using the Grimoire. Those channel abilities can get cancelled by the dragon, and if you have the shield from Jiwoo, it actually protects you from that, and it just lets you keep going. So the shield comes from this one, I believe. Yeah, it implies a shield to the entire team, as well as she breaks. So when the golem is there, he's helping you break. So the thing for Power of Destruction, if you guys haven't noticed yet, break is good, support is good, and then as a main DPS, just any type of DPS. But if you break, that's amazing. If you support, that's amazing. You don't need to bring 3 DPS, because if you have 3 DPS, sometimes that might not be enough to kill the hands, especially if you're not high enough level, as well as your artifacts and stuff. But yeah, that's her. And then let's go back to the tier list. Oh, and as a support, free shield is always amazing. Breaking as a support is amazing, but she's not as broken as the other ones, at least not in those ranking events. But as a support in maybe hard mode in story, maybe in Battlefield of Chaos, she's gonna be amazing because she's water, and it looks like we're gonna need water for that game mode. So yeah, just having a shield for Seo Jiwoo is it's always good. And then the last SSR that I think I'm gonna rank before I go to, probably not a lot of the SRs don't really matter, especially for those 2 game modes, except for one character. But yeah, I'm gonna put him in A. I think he's better for Power of Destruction because he breaks. I think he's better for Battlefield of Time challenge, especially against the Golem, who's green, who's weak against the green characters for wind, because he does a good amount of break damage against that fight, and he's free. So just because he breaks and he's good in one event, unlike Hwang Dongsoo, sadly, who's not good in any events for the Battlefield of Time, I have to put him one higher. So I think that's how I'm gonna rank this, and Cha is not in here. So let me fix that quick. Alright, so I just added Cha here because I didn't realize that Cha was missing. Cha is simple. She's the best character in the game. She does a lot of damage, the most damage in this game, and it's not even comparable to number 2. She does in the millions. Too much damage. As a support, you can use her well. In Power of Destruction, she's the best DPS to increase your score. In Battlefield of Time, she's the best character to clear the fastest in everything. As of right now, the Battlefield of Time is against the Spider. She's the best character in the Spider. Against Egress in the challenge, she's the best character in Egress. She's the best character in all of those tier. It's nothing really even close, but I really want to put, I want to have Min next to her just because of how much she brings as a support. She's way above her, but I think Min is way above everyone else, especially for ranking game modes. And yeah, that's the tier list. I'll see y'all in the next video.